Alright everybody, in this video I'm going to show you guys how to create those super hard hitting drums all from scratch in FL Studio. I'm going to make sure to cover the whole melody from start to finish, and then I'm going to show you guys how to really make sure those drums hit super hard together with the whole melody. Now with that being said, let's get over to FL Studio. Alright, we are now here in FL Studio 21. First things first, we just want to lay down the fundamentals. So the guitar we're going to be using is going to be this Ilya Efimov TC electric guitar in Contact. I know a lot of you guys have this same exact guitar, so if you just want to follow along with the same VSTs, you can just do so. Now, that is the guitar. The BPM is actually 125, and the key we're going to be working in is going to be C sharp minor. So now that we have the fundamentals laid down, we just need to start with the guitar pattern. And I'm going for a bit of a wavier type of melody, and then making sure those drums hit super hard. But the melody is actually going to be very, very simple to recreate. So what we're going to do is just lay down a simple C sharp minor chord to start off with. It's literally just this simple right here. Now what you want to do is just make sure to highlight this middle note, and you want to invert it by pitching it up one octave like this. And what we're going to do from here is just go over to the magnet tool, make sure that you are in cell mode, highlight these top two, and you're just going to move them 1, 2, 3 to the side. Then you can go with the top one and again move it 1, 2, 3 to the side, and then you're going to have a super nice pattern. Now what we want to do from here is just make sure that we cut this in half. So we're just going to go over to the slice tool and make sure to cut it right in the middle like this, and we can just delete these top two, and then we're just going to copy these two over. But for this one we want to switch it up a little bit, so we're just going to pitch it down to this C sharp 5. From here, just to build off of this first chord progression we got going on, we're just going to highlight this first chord and move it over to this side right here. And from here, we're just going to pitch it down by 4 semitones. Now, you might see that this C5 actually isn't in key, so we're just going to move this one semitone down. From here, we're just going to copy this same exact thing over, but this time we can actually pitch it up by 2 semitones like this. And as you guys can see, all of the notes actually line up in the key, so we're pretty much good to go. This is going to be our chord progression. Just copy this over for the whole 8 bars. Randomize the velocity a little bit just so it's more natural, and you pretty much got a wavy start to the melody. So we're just gonna have this loop over and over again. That is kind of what you want with these hard beats, just have it very simple and repetitive. Now that guitar really sounds super dry, so we definitely need to add some effects to it. Right, the first effect we're going to open up is actually going to be Guitar Rig 6. I haven't used this in ages, but I have some super nice sauce you guys can do if you have this plugin. So all you want to do is actually just go over to the effects types panel right here and just hit the character section. You can pretty much go with any preset right here, and most of them are going to sound super fire as long as you're using an electric guitar. Now in this case, I actually have highlighted this edge tape delay preset right here. Let's just take a listen to how it sounds. Okay, so it's giving some cool vibes, but I think we could do some edits on this one. So I'm gonna turn off the noise on this first thing, and then for the echo we're gonna lower the bass all the way down. Yeah, now it's a bit cleaner. Let's try turning this off though. Yeah, maybe we just need to turn off the mix on this first one, just so it's not too much. 30% is pretty much perfect, so we're gonna go with this, and then we can obviously just go in and add some roam. Again, you want to make sure to lower the mix. We don't want to overpower the whole sound. Next we can also open up a simple RC20, turn down the distortion a little bit. This is sounding way better right now. Lastly, we obviously need the EQ on this. Make that sound a little bit cleaner. Right, next I found this little guitar phrase right here. So I think if I just add some simple effects to this together with the guitar, it's going to sound super smooth. So all I'm going to do to that little phrase is just firstly pitch it up by 1 octave. Then I'm also just going to make sure to have a pancake too, so we can pan it from left to right. A simple little EQ, and I'm also just going to mess a little bit around with this portal. I'm just going to use some of my presets from the Mirage Bank and see if it sounds nice. Yeah, it just adds this smooth texture in the back. This is starting to come together. Alright, next we need to add some vocals to this, and I think I'm again just gonna look through Spice and see if we can find something smooth. Alright, so I think I found a perfect vocal that's gonna fit nicely with this guitar. Now the vocal is a little bit harsh, so one thing you guys can do to really make sure that it fits perfectly with the melody is just to add one simple effect. So all you have to do is actually just open up the mixer, open up RC20, and make sure that you're using one of the magnitude transition presets. In this case, I'm just using the magnitude transition 3 preset because I felt like it was the perfect one for this type of melody. But usually you can just mess around with the magnitude transition 1, 2, or 3. Now when we turn this effect on, listen to how well it blends together with the rest of the guitar. That's crazy right there. So all I think I'm going to do with this one as well is just open up Effect Track and just add a simple delay, because I did chop up the vocal a little bit in some parts. So it's very simple, just add a little bit of an echo boy and pick some of the presets. You can literally just go for some of the classic ones. I did also find this guitar counter melody, and I think I'm just going to go in and out with the guitar and the vocal in some parts of the melody. Now this is pretty much the whole melody. I think the last thing I want to add is actually just a bass we can have in the intro, and then we can get started with the drums. Now for the bass, we don't want to overcomplicate it, so I'm literally just going to be using this Scarby bass in Contact right here. Again, a lot of you guys have this same exact bass, so you can just use the same one. But what we're going to do is that we're just going to put it on some of the root notes we have on the main guitar melody, and we can just pretty much keep that pattern going. So we're just gonna have it like this. Right, so now that we have the melody finished, it's time to add some drums. As for all the drum sounds I'm using, they are of course coming from the Mirage multi-kit. So if you guys like any of the drum sounds you hear in this video, you can obviously check out the kit. It is on my website, which is BBMarko.com, or you guys can just click the first link down below. Now, like I already mentioned earlier, we really want to make sure that these drums hit super hard. But first things first, we just want to add a simple clap and a hi-hat pattern to get the bounce going. So we're just using a very standard clap. What I'm going to do is copy that over, and I'm also going to turn up the velocity a bit, just so it's a bit crispy. Alright, I went a bit crazy with the hi-hat pattern, but I think it fits the melody nicely. I'll build up towards the end. Now here is a really important trick when it comes to these hard type of beats. You want to make sure to pick a short lasting open hat that is super crisp and that you can also layer together with your 808 and kicks later on. So in this case, I really love using this open hat right here. This one is literally the exact sound that I'm going for. So firstly, we're going to just drag this in right here, and then we want to make sure to put it on the first hit, because we are obviously going to have the kick and the 808 smash on that first hit right there. And then later, when we add the kick and the 808 towards the end of the beat, we're actually going to come back to this open hat and also do some more layers. Make sure you don't skip that step because it's actually crucial. You can also come into the wrench tool over here and actually just boost it up a little bit. It's going to make sure that the open hat is really crisp in the mix. Next thing we want to do is add some more bounce with the snare, but we're also going to make sure to have a smooth snare roll towards the end. So let's just go over to the snare section and make sure to pick a crisp snare. I really like this one right here. I think it's going to fit perfectly together with the rest of the melody. Now we're going to go for a bit of a classic bounce, so let's just have these two hit right here as well as one hit towards the end. Now you can also go in and mess a little bit around with the velocity just so it's a bit smoother. You can come in here and just lower the velocity a bit just so it's more realistic, but we are going to copy this thing over and make a smooth little snare roll towards the end. So the way I like doing this is just adding a snare right here where the clap would usually hit. So we're just going to lay that down and we're going to extend it out a bit like this, copy it over so we have 4 of them hit, and we're just going to highlight this one, shorten it and hit Alt and a U so we can chop it up a bit. Make sure to go to the velocity and add a fade down, and then we're also going to turn this a few semitones down as well as chopping it up so we have 2 of them hit and 1 more towards the end. And so we have a standard bounce in the beginning, and we have our snare roll right here. Make sure to mess around with the velocity, it's crucial. Alright, just to finish off the bounce before we add a kick in the 808, we're just going to add a few perks and some more open hats as well. That's smooth. Super subtle, but it definitely adds some bounce. Right now I think it's finally time that we add a kick in the 808. So in this case, since we actually already have that bass playing from the melody, I think I'm actually going to start off with the kick, and then we're just going to layer the 808 along together later on. So just make sure to pick a hard hitting kick. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to drag it in, and also I'm going to make sure to boost it up in here just so it's extra punchy. Alright, so I do have this kick pattern right here. But as you can hear, the kick is still a bit soft, right? So what you want to do is just make sure to highlight everything you can, and then you want to go down to the velocity and just boost it all the way up so it's really hitting through the mix. You can already hear the difference. And once we add that 808, it's really going to hit. Now before I add that 808, I'm actually going to go back to that open hat I talked about earlier, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to copy the whole kick pattern and just paste it over to the open hat. Now I obviously don't want to have the open hat hit at every single kick hit, so I'm just going to delete a couple of them. I'm going to delete this second one right here, but I'm going to leave this third one. Then we can also leave them towards the end right here. What you want to do is just make sure to go back to the piano roll and turn that velocity down a little bit, especially for some of these hits that are later on in the beat. So like these ones, I'm actually going to turn them down even more. We want them to be present, but we don't want them to be overpowering the kick. Just like that. Alright, it's time to finish this off with the 808, so just make sure to pick a short but hard hitting 808. I'm gonna go with this one right here, just drag that in, copy the same exact kick pattern over to the 808. I'm also gonna go back to the kick pattern right here. I'm just gonna add a few kicks a little bit before the actual 808 and kick would usually hit. So something like this. Right here. Yeah, that's hard. Can do the same thing. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the whole beat. Now I'm just going to quickly arrange it and then we'll take a final listen. Alright, so here we have the full thing. As you guys can see, we have a pretty long intro for this one. Vocals and guitar in the start.
Shut up, Marko.
Then we build up. Bro, those risers from the kit is actually crazy. Here we have a couple more elements in the melody. Bass comes in, counter melody, electric guitar, and it drops. Yeah, those drums are punchy. First part of the hook right here. Second part. Vocals are back. Slow down over here. Really hear how those open hats layer together with the 808. Makes it super hard. Those snare rolls as well. Basic part of the verse. Bridge right here, tone everything down a bit. Builds back up for the hook.